This is a great comment. So Select 20, he's been in our YouTube community for a while. He's made a lot of comments and a lot of videos. He's just leaving a comment on my Starfield versus No Man's Sky video, which I'll physically reply to this later. But he says, great video as always. Getting tired of watching your videos and then having you inspire me to download a game to revisit it or to try a new game altogether. I only have so much time, man. He says, I made a comment the other day about No Man's Sky that I felt like the game was extremely broad but didn't feel as deep. And then I was recently talking to a friend about this and he said, I only feel that way because it's not an RPG and I prefer RPGs. Well, he hit the nail on the head. And I had never thought about that aspect of myself as an individual and how I compare other games to RPG type games consistently, and then I complain that there's no depth to those games. So yeah, now after watching your videos, I'm going to re-download No Man's Sky and just enjoy it and try not to subconsciously compare it to the RPG type games that I typically would gravitate towards. This is a brilliant comment because this comes back to what I was talking about. I did a video for my YouTube channel members last night, and if you're a member of the channel, you can go watch it over there. But we were talking about, in brief, how tastes change. Because when I tried this game for the first time 3 years ago, I said it fucking sucks. I crashed my ship. It sucked. I was 3 hours in. I said fuck this, uninstalled it, moved on with my life. Coming back 3 years later, my tastes have changed. Also, I try not to compare things too much to other things because every game does things differently. And if you get stuck in that cycle, this is what a lot of the rage bait YouTubers will do, is they want to compare everything. The perfect example of this is you see a lot of the people on the Starfield versus No Man's Sky video complaining about loading screens in Starfield, or the fact that they can't take off from a planet and go to space. They want to be able to control their ship all the way through into space and then all the way back down. And they refuse to accept that Starfield is not, nor ever it will be, that kind of a game. They have a completely different engine. They do something completely different. Their focus is on the RPG aspects of their game. It does have space flight. It does have planets. It does have outposts. But Starfield is not a space exploration game in the same way that this is a space exploration game. And trying to compare those two mechanics from two different games and say that they should both do it exactly the same is bullshit. They should not do it exactly the same. No game should do it exactly the same as someone else. Otherwise, we would have carbon copies of everything. That's what happened when World of Warcraft came out as like the big MMORPG killer. Every game in the world tried to copy World of Warcraft exactly. They tried to make World of Warcraft clones, and all of those games faded into non-existence. It is futility trying to make something exactly like something else. Games should draw inspiration from each other and strive to do things similar to each other, but they should never do them exactly the same. We should always have differentiating features. So kudos to Select 20 for having the balls to admit that they were getting in the way of their own enjoyment. Like their mentality of, I gotta compare this to these other games, and if it's not playing exactly like these other games, I don't want to play it. He's understanding and he's maturing as a gamer. His tastes are changing. He's getting out of the way of his own self, and he's finding enjoyment in No Man's Sky now that he's stopped comparing it to other games. And I feel like that applies to every game. Starfield, all these other games. Get out of your own head, get out of your way, learn how to find enjoyment. There's enjoyment in lots of different games out there, everybody. So Dennis just made a really good comment that if you're not a channel member for a long enough time, you're not going to understand this. But he said, No Man's Sky is a Bulgarian tomato. Join the channel as a member, and you'll learn things like this. The Bulgarian tomato reference is brilliant. Lord of the Apes says, I love that you're still putzing around in the Radiant Pillar. Most people ditch it ASAP. Dude, I'm going to run this thing until it stops working. Like, I'll run it until I can no longer, like, if I can't keep adding modules to it. But I love the look of this ship even. Hang on, let's get out real quick. Like, I think it looks kind of cool. Like, it's a nice little X-Wing, snub-nosed X-Wing kind of Battlestar Galactica style fighter. Like, I like it. I wish I could change the colors on it, but other than that, it's kind of a cool little ship. Goodspeed says that's Bethesda's fault because before launch they made it seem like it was going to be all these seamless immersion. I'm gonna call that out and say no, that's not true. That was people's misconception because not one of their publicity videos or any of the things they did they ever talk about seamless immersion. That's also, by the way, this is the same thing. We have people now who are watching the Star Wars Outlaws videos. When they first saw Star Wars Outlaws a year ago, and it was announced that it was going to be open world, space to planet, planet to space. You have a ship. Everyone is like, "Oh my God, this is so cool!" And so many people said a year ago, Star Wars Outlaws is going to be No Man's Sky in space. We're going to be able to take off and land in our ships, and we're going to be able to have seamless going from. And then they come to find out that that's not the case. They never promoted that ever. They just said you're going to be able to take off and land on your ship and go from space to planet and planet to space. That's all they ever said. But the people out there made up their own assumptions about what style that was going to look like. Then we see the spaceflight video from last week, and you have all these people who are upset because they found out that Star Wars Outlaws does not allow you to seamlessly take off from a planet and go into space and go from space back down to the planet. It is very much loading screens, but it's done in a different way. When you're landing on a planet, you go into the cloud fog, the cloud cover. The engineers came out and said in that video, once you enter the cloud cover, the game's tech takes over and the game transports you from point A, which is space, to point B, which is the planet, the landing place where you're going to be landing your ship. The cloud cover is a loading screen so that they're dumping the assets from space and loading the assets from the planet. Once those have loaded, you leave the cloud cover, a cutscene kicks in, and you watch your planet come and land on that space station. Similarly, when you take off, you get the landing animation sequence of your ship taking off. You enter the cloud cover, your ship, you then unload the assets from the planet, you load the space assets, and then your ship emerges from the cloud cover, and you then have control of your ship in space. But it is not, never has been, never was promoted as such. It was never promoted as a game where you're going to be able to seamlessly take off from planets and go to space like you can in No Man's Sky. But people made up their own assumptions about it and said, this is how that game's going to play. That's just people's perception. Sometimes people hype things up in ways that they shouldn't because they want something to be true and they don't actually pay attention to what the developers are saying. And then when they see a video of it, they go, well, that's not what they promised us. They're lying. And that's just not true. It's perception. People get way too, it's a clickbait thing. They want something to be true. They see a tagline. They think that it's true. But it's just not the case. Farfuffle says that happened with this game. People jumped on the multiplayer hype when in the interviews it was clearly stated you could bump into someone, but it was highly unlikely. I remember that for sure, Farfuffle. Way too many people made the claim that this was supposed to be an MMORPG, and I never got the impression from the interviews that it was going to be an MMORPG. I got the impression from the interviews that it was going to be a game where I could run into people, but that mostly I was going to be playing single player, which at the time, I wasn't really that interested in playing it. Alright, we have quests to go off planet. Going to a new galaxy. Well, then you better get ready to get a refund, good speed, because I guarantee you it's gonna have loading screens. Oh shit, we're getting attacked. There's pirates. Shit. Move, 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 move. I don't want to deal with pirates right now. Go away, pirates. Red Dead Redemption 2 is a good example. It has loading screens all over the place, and that's Rockstar tech. I mean, I think we've already seen loading screens in Grand Theft Auto 6, I'm pretty sure. From the previews that we've seen. Does this one have a different... No, I just landed out farther. By the way, that black screen you see when you leave your ship, that's a loading screen. Even No Man's Sky has loading screens. It's just how the game masks it. Every game does it a little bit differently. A lot of things, people forget that animations, cutscenes, are loading screens, or they can be used as loading screens. So while you're watching the cool cutscene, that's just a preloaded cutscene, and while you're watching that cutscene, it's dumping assets and loading more assets. Correct, Dennis. I think that they've done an admirable job here. I must have already grabbed this one. It's a weird looking helmet. I thought I was in a new system. Maybe not. Why did it gave me a different... It switched my quest. I must have been here before because it switched me to the main quest for finding Apollo, which was in this system. So I have been to this system before, apparently. See, I wish there was a way. I probably just need to pay attention more to the names of things, because I could be using the teleporter to come to these places if I've already been to these galaxies, but I don't know if you can know in advance. That's a distress signal. I'm not looking for the distress signal. I'm looking for this over here. Why does it say I have an incoming message? Okay. Though the transmission is confused with static and its alien speech garbled, the one thing is unmistakable: the life form is in great distress. Their broadcast contains a set of coordinates. The pre-recorded hologram fades as I shut down my starship communicator. The coordinates point to a nearby planet. You see, it switches my quests. I hate it when it does that. The Guild War 2's one, yes. I don't know about Lotro. I played Lotro for years and years and years, and I never had an issue with Lotro needing to load an area like that. Guild Wars 2, yes, for sure. That was the way they did their tech. Hang on. That's probably what I'm going to right there. inside here. Oh shit, this planet! The gravity is wacky on this planet. That's awesome. That was great. Hang on, there's probably tentacles in here. Yup. Okay, access the memory. I found them standing over me as I awoke, their beak chattering, their eyes caught between horror and joy. It was the tallest Gek I'd ever seen, but the mystery was soon solved. They asked me of the Empire. They wanted to know if the first spawn still spoke their name. In life, they possessed 100 Korvax slaves, you see. They do not remember how they arrived in this place. Their face swarms with nanites. They are lonely. Alright, let's search the cache. Okay, I have received decayed records of the Crimson Orb. I also got some sort of a module just now. Infra Knife. I don't even know what that is. That didn't do what I thought it did. I thought it was going to break it down, and it didn't. I'm an idiot. That's okay. Learn something new every day. That was a ship gun. I thought I could break it down, but I clicked it and it didn't break it down. I think I misunderstood what breaking down was earlier. Oh, oh, oh. Slow it down. Alright. Signal, but I do want to go to the space station. Oh, only if it's already installed. That makes sense, Lady Atara, because I totally did it earlier this morning, and I thought it was just directly from my inventory, but it must have been because I'd already installed it and then I broke it down from there. Okay, that makes sense. This is that pyramid one that we saw yesterday. I think I gotta go to the other side. There it is. Alright, back to my home base. We got a computer to check out. One of these days I'll finish this quest line. Somebody said I had to do like 10 of them in a row. I think this is my 4th or 5th one. At some point I'm going to get back to the main storyline. I'll probably do it. I want to finish this. I want to see this to the completion, to the end of like whatever I'm getting for the base computers. So however long this takes, it could be another day or two. But once we wrap this up, I'll move back to doing storyline missions. But this has been very good because it's gotten me like modules for my ship, modules for my exosuit. It's taught me all these things about crafting. Like we're working with the overseer and the science person, and now I'm supposed to get an armor to install tech at my... That's a whole nother series of quests as well, tied into this. Again, the beautiful part of being a new player in an 8-year-old game is that I've got 8 years of catching up to do, so there's no end of the things that I can work on. Backup coordinates. And we go back out again. The vastness of space, 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 space. Alright, we're going to a new system. Halfiak. First contact. Well, before we do anything, let's go to the space station and get our upgrade, and then we'll hit the anomaly and grab that upgrade as well. Where the heck? There it is. Oh, it's like through the mist. Oh, it's right there. $2 super chat over on YouTube from Jurassic Park saying, I'm watching your old VODs but wanted to say hello. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the support. Which old VODs are you watching? The old No Man's Sky stuff or something more? There's a lot of different old VODs on my channel. What we got here? What I did not know until someone pointed it out to me, was you could choose to install a new mod slot or a new inventory slot. I did not know that that's how this worked. So I've been only focused on inventory, which are now 50,000 units per, and I've never done these before, which are only 1,000. So I'm actually going to take the time to upgrade my tech slots right now, get some more mod slots. I didn't know you could choose between the two, so. No, everybody keeps asking about the expeditions, Brett. I'm not gonna do expeditions, not for the moment. Just as much as I'm not doing freighters at the moment, even though I have a freighter. I don't know enough about the game to feel comfortable jumping into expeditions. I suck at gunplay. Like, I need to learn a little bit more. I don't remember how long this current expedition goes, but I would imagine that, maybe in a week or two, I'll feel comfortable enough to want to run some expeditions, but it's definitely not my priority at the moment. I do realize we can get some really cool rewards out of those and everything else, but I'm still very much learning the base game. Expeditions are something I would focus on, after I'm, when I run out of things to do for the base game, if that makes sense. I realize I can get a cool ship from it and some other cool rewards, but I still very much have a ton of stuff to do here.